firstly, I was thrilled because the scene where she gets to the gates of Winterfell is really great.
I'm Arya Stark. This is my home.
Fuck off. Everyone has been waiting for the Stark children to be reunited, me included, and the chance to bring them together was very exciting.
Your list
of people I'm going to kill.
Probably the scene I was looking forward to the most was the scene between Sansa and Arya in the crypt when they're standing in front of the statue of their father.
Pretty sad, but just so powerful.
Doesn't look like him. Should have been carved by someone who knew his face.
As I read the progression of the season, I realized it wasn't going to be all fun and games on set, but to have Sophie around on set again has just been the best.
We were really excited. Like, when we first got the scripts, we were texting each other, "Did you read all the scripts yet?" And I'm like, "Not yet." And then I read that we reunited, and then I rang her up and I was like, "Oh my God, I just cried. Like, I can't believe this is happening finally."
Keep it settled, thank you. Just hold that for us for now. Yes. Hold that, ladies. Thank you. Try and resist each other.
You got that?
It's tricky.
It's complicated.
It's been so much fun. She's my best mate.
And everyone's like, "Oh, it's so nice you girls are back together again." And I was like, just you wait, because by week 2, you're all gonna hate us, because we're very annoying when we're together.
Before we left the gang. Gang's left.
To be shooting back in Winterfell has been amazing. It's bringing back so many memories. Although last time that I was at Winterfell, it wasn't shot here at all. It was shot in a different castle.
People say to me, "Where did you find that location?" They don't know what we built and what was the location. It's a great compliment.
I just assumed Winterfell was a real castle, you know. I know from the pilot it was a real castle, and I guess I just kind of assumed that part of it was still shot. And no, they built this thing, and they made it bigger this year, and they'll continue to make it bigger.
We've had a kind of recreated Winterfell that had been recreated by Ramsay Bolton. After the Battle of the Bastards, obviously had fallen back to the Starks. You know, as a result, it needed a slightly different setup. Couldn't be quite as cold anymore. And we needed a lot more corridor space for walk and talk. We needed new rooms. We had more characters that needed to be housed. One which was a room that hadn't been seen since season 1, Catelyn Stark's chamber.
All of these sets are bigger than you can imagine and more detailed. They have done such an extraordinary job.
We're rolling, listening. Set. Set!
Your Grace.
The Jon-Dany relationship is one of the biggest storylines of the season. I pick up with them when Jon has convinced her to let him mine for dragonglass.
I don't think Jon and Daenerys trust each other entirely at that point.
Those dragon glass caves. The entrance was at Zemaya Beach, and then we came into a set build, which was down in Banbridge, Northern Ireland.
And we're set. And action!
The dragon glass was actually bitumen, so it's a kind of tar in its raw state. It looks like dragon glass. It's rather extraordinary. It was smashed into small amounts. Then a number of plasterers spent weeks plotting in these small bits of glass to create Dragonstone between the rock strata.
We were able to create a look that was similar to what Tommy had already been using for his dragon glass, the armoury that's associated with dragon glass.
This is it. All we'll ever need.
It's Jon Snow's entire plight of the season. It's like, no, seriously, it's these dead people, and they're gonna kill everyone.
Children of the forest made thee.
When?
And it's a really important place. It's a magical little place. It's like the caves in France in Lascaux, you know, where we find the earliest examples of human painting. And we looked a lot at that as reference. It should feel prehistoric, but magical.
Because the enemy is real.
And I think it's probably mixed up in that moment that the tenderness for him begins to kind of come in.
I will fight for you.
It's a weird thing, isn't it, when you seriously have the hots for someone, but you don't trust them. That's hard.
When you bend the knee.
And cut.
I think
think you look beautiful.
Cut, we've got to go again.
And action.
You can't use that, my lady. It's too small.
I won't cut you. Don't worry.
I'll try not to.
Rolling, rolling. Cue marker. Forward to roll. Clearing, listening.
The fun thing about the Arya and Brienne thing was I don't think we had to do too much to it to make it really fun to watch because everybody's wanted to see these two together for a long time. And if they didn't know they did, they certainly do the minute the two of them meet.
Nice.
It was so exciting to train for that fight, and we trusted each other.
But to be fighting Gwen, who is far over a foot taller than me, and for her to be, you know, fighting someone who's far, far shorter than her, it's been a massive challenge.
Generally, as you attack, you move forward, and as you defend, you move back. And they have completely different sizes of gait, of step. That was a big challenge to choreograph that and deal with those issues. We use stunt doubles for their skill sets and also to put them in harm's way to a degree.
3, 2, 1, action.
In a fight, it's so much more than just choreography. Every movement says something about the character. It tells the story of these two very different warriors.
Who taught you how to do that?
No one.
It's a big sequence. You see a horde of Dothraki coming. You see the Lannisters and the sort of Roman soldiers that they are forming up their beautiful shield wall, preparing to meet a dangerous, dangerous foe.
We can hold them off.
But then Drogon flies in. And everything changes.
Dracarys!
Essentially, it's wow. How are we going to achieve this?
Something like the loot train involves a lot of different departments, all sort of working at sort of the very extremes of their abilities.
There's Drogon setting lots of things and people on fire.
We've got 50 horses, 200 extras, 60 stunts. We have fire, wind, smoke.
A lot of the times we've got 2 or 3 or more elements being shot at the same time.
Loot Train is the biggest sequence, without a doubt. To shoot it in 18 days is a significant challenge.
The horse department, these guys have tons of experience. Camilla, who's the head of the horse department, brought some great ideas to us.
Until now, we haven't really seen the Dothrakis do much on horses, so this is our chance to really show off their skills and what they can do.
Camilla, she was just saying, you know, with the Dothraki, it's a very different style of horseback riding than what we've seen in Westeros. They grew up with their horses. They're famous for their skill on horseback.
For me, the most interesting part of the loot train sequence is when the Dothrakis come down the hill and when they stand up in their saddles. There's this force coming towards you.
And I thought, well, that sounds great, but that's not possible. She said, no, it is. We build these special stirrups and we can do it. And she showed me a rehearsal of what it would look like. And all these guys perfectly coordinated. It's extraordinary.
We're just showing off even before we get to them, and then we smash through the ranks.
We have a shield wall which the Dothraki attack. We've created channels in the shield wall for them to go through. We've had breakaway spears. We've had guys jumping off horses, going into the shield wall. Yeah, we just try to make those guys really, really vicious and violent.
Have your spear down here like that, and as he's at the vertical, just go forward and smash him with the spear.
Then my character, he wants Jaime Lannister.
Come on!
He comes storming through, and he has 2 swords all the way through, just mowing people down.
Cut, reset, cut in.
I'd done a lot of research on Comanche fighting, and one of the things that I had read about is that they could swing very, very low to the side of their horse to avoid people shooting guns at them, they would use the horse to block them. So we have a fight between a Dothraki and Bronn, and I used that idea. So Bronn goes high with his sword, and the other guy literally drops out of his saddle, completely perpendicular to the side of his horse, cuts off the front leg of Bronn's horse, and sends him to the ground.
We did a thing called Bronn's Wanna. So when Bronn gets knocked off his horse and he's travelling towards the Scorpion, we do this long shot, takes about 33 seconds of him travelling through on a journey. So he comes past a burning wagon, there's someone on fire. He turns around, he sees someone's throat getting slit. Then he turns into a rearing horse that nearly knocks him over.
As I'm chasing him down through the battle, until I eventually follow him into the carriage with the Scorpion on it. So we have a team of wire riggers here, and they've been planning and prepping and rehearsing for this specific stunt. So we'll have a number of lines coming out the back of me into the carriage that I'm hitting, a line on the front to stop me, and a line on the top to keep me airborne.
Definitely got a bit of that Western feel, but then you throw dragons in on top of that.
Dracarys!
You see a dragon, which is essentially a nuclear bomb, being used in a way you haven't seen before against people you like.
Come on, you fucker.
And everything changes.
Dracarys!
Now he's the size of a 747. The diameter of his dragon breath is 30 feet.
We're going to set fire to 20 guys in one shot, which I believe hasn't been done before on film or TV.
Ready, and 3, 2, 1, action!
We invented this idea that people would carbonize almost instantly, and I asked the special effects department if they could create sort of carbon figures that then when the wind from the dragon's wings comes right behind the breath, that they would literally just disappear into dust. The special effects department, led by Sam Conway, did a brilliant job of building these charcoal paper figures.
The most complicated shot of season 7 has to be the strafe run.
The road for hundreds of feet is exploding in fire, and we're traveling above Dany, on the dragon as that's happening for an extended period of time.
The strafe run was 150 feet long. It involved lots of testing, and of course we had to tie it in with the spider cam.
It's fire being shot from a 3D motion control spider cam rig that's being integrated into all of those pieces.
And it's an awesome shot. It's really cool.
So the process of putting Dany or Emilia Clarke on Drogon is complicated. Typically, we film the sort of background for the shot first, based on the previs. And then we do what we call some pre-animation. The VFX vendor will sort of animate what Drogon would be doing, flapping or soaring. And then from that animation, we'll take the section where she's got to sit and we'll program a motion base that she will sit on to move exactly like what that dragon is doing in that one spot, as if she was really riding on Drogon, but in a stage in Belfast in front of green screen.
You just got to harness every single bit of imagination you have and just use it. I mean, can you even imagine being on the back of a reptile that's breathing fire at your command? That's huge.